Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have an interesting video. This time working in a 2007 Dodge Ram 3500 with a 6.7 liters coming from Virginia. Scott, this is your computer. He's actually a very good friend of mine. And I owe him a lot because he has sent me a lot of business, a lot of customers this way. Thank you, Scott, for trusting Mike Salazar Diagnostics. I hope I can help you on this one. He has definitely sent multiple modules and we're being back and forth. He actually has sent another one coming this way, but for a Toyota Tacoma, and we'll see when that one comes here. So this is a little difficult, and as you see, I have already the computer open, but as I normally do, let me take you over this so that you can guys see the connections. I have the wiring already made for these computers, and I'm only using connector C2, which is where the computer communications and everything is, because it's a no communication computer. Well, let me take you over to the folder that I have created for Scott. All right, I got the folder in the screen. Let me just make sure you guys are seeing everything and the sound, everything is good. Perfect. All right, so this is the first time when the computer comes, I always take a picture of the modules. It was really dirty. But you can see he's writing and everything that says no communication, 2007 Ram 4-wheel drive, 6.7 liters. And that's the VIN number, 165,000 miles. This is me connecting the computer, and I want to show you here and to Scott that we get the fiber reference. And still no communication. This is after I clean the module because I cannot really work with these modules that dirty in my bench. And I hope that anyone that watches the video, if you take the time to work in your to clean your component a little bit before it comes here, that really helped me, because this is my lab is in my house, so it's a little difficult for me to do that. But I have created a little bucket in there that I can spray it and clean it, but because it was really dirty, as you saw. This is just to show the front and the back, everything as it was. And now I have the computer here open, so let's see what we see. So I got the scanner ready to go. I'm using the Phoenix Max for that. And let me put the meter, which is connected to the computer. Let me move that box a little bit off the bottom because it's not correct. And we can see the fiber reference. So I'm going to power the computer off. So we should lose that fiber reference shortly. Just turn the ignition off. That should have already lose the fiber reference. No, and this is staying on, which is also telling me that it's a microprocessor that is not active. Fiber reference circuit will get activated, and then when you turn the ignition, that sends a signal over to the computer to power up. The same thing is when you power down, it sends a signal to the microprocessor to tell you, okay, I just took the ignition off, so go to sleep. And when we have the fiber references staying on like this, it's not a good sign. It tells me that the micro is not in communication. I'm going to kill the battery so you can see at least that I can definitely remove the fiber reference, right? So, and this is like now the microprocessor lost the power completely, which is like you disconnecting the battery. If I power the battery on, just the first switch, we should not get the fiber reference. You see, we're not getting it. Why? Because the power on command is not there. But the fiber reference circuit and voltage has that command to power on, because it's important for the microprocessor to come on. But to power down is the microprocessor the one that tells the smart driver to turn off, because he is already in a sequence of power down. So to reduce the consumption of the computer, that takes place. So again, if I turn the ignition on, we can see the fiber reference, but again, it doesn't go off, which usually on this computer it takes, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 seconds. I've seen it at least on the bench, right? But yeah, let me do some testing. I'm going to disconnect. Actually, let me use the other meter. Oh. Let's try to establish communication, right? I'm going too far ahead of time. So this one is a complete COM bus, so this should do an auto ID. And that was the reason I was actually having the scanner in the view, because I want to reproduce everything that you saw in the pictures, because I'm recording a video for him and for all of you. This is the same process that I do for all the computers that I get here. And I know for a fact that we will have no communication. This is definitely a not active bus on the computer. I want to move it this way. Make sure I got enough black in here, and I do, because I'm going to do some testing. Yeah, we see no computer, no communication. I'm going to skip that. The card does not support auto ID. It does, but this computer is not talking. So it is just so hot outside today that I'm wearing shorts because it's just super hot. I'm going to put the ground into my ground box in here. And I'm going to put my multimeter into voltage first to see what we have. Aside your view, I'm going to put my information, internal information, and I don't show that because this is hours and hours of information that I have gathered for myself to do the testing here. So I will show you at least what I'll be doing. Let me get a little zoom. Yeah, that's good. Let me take the scanner out of the way. I'm going to keep that one so you can see the computer is powered up. So we should have battery voltage in here. And we do have 14.15, which is okay. This quote should have the same thing. A little hard for me to do the test without my glasses. So this code should have the same 14 volts. So give me 1 second. And we can see that we have that. This other coil the same way. And we do have the coil, so that power is going through. We have current sense resistor in here, which is good. It's not blowing. These coils should have 3.1 volts. Almost 3.1, so that's correct. These capacitors, these tantalum capacitors, should have 7.6 volts, and we do have that. We have a 3.3 volts in here, and we do have it. 5 volts should be here, and we have. So pretty much all the power rail is there. We should have in this capacitor, right, the microprocessor 5 volts. And as you can see, we do have it. Yes, you can see it really there. I'm right next to the microprocessor. So all the power rail, including for the microprocessor to power up, is there. So this is not looking good in here because we have all the power rails. If I would be missing one of the power rails, I'll be like, okay, perfect. Let me see what is the problem. But we do have all the power rails. The other power rail that should be here is a 1.5 volts in this tantalum capacitor. And we have it 1.5 volts exactly. So you can see the guys that I know these boards like the palm of my hand, and all the power rails. I always take the time to reverse engineer completely the board, especially the voltage rail supplies for the microprocessors to come on, and then drivers, and so you can check with continuity, with resistance, diode modes, and so on. But this is definitely a power rail. Not a power rail situation. This is indeed most likely a microprocessor issue. So let me contact Scott, and I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to try to perform a little testing here to see if I can make it work. I'm going to check the crystal, and I'm going to do that off the video because I have to put the oscilloscope and everything. I don't want to make the video too long to see what kind of activity we get on the oscillator, and see if we have any activity or not from the microprocessor. But I will do that outside the video. I'll be right back, guys. Hi guys, I don't know what happened with the video. I think I pressed the button the opposite way. So what I was going to tell you is that I was going to do a reball on the microprocessor. I'm actually now on the way to cool it down. So this is kind of like after I noticed it was recording. I'm like, oh, let me pause the video, and then for a reason I stopped it. So I made a mistake. So sorry about that. But so right now, what I'm letting right now is the actual board cool down, and we're going to see if it is a fix or not. Because there's nothing else I can do with this ones. It's a little difficult even to perform a programming on a module. I don't want to spend, the replacement and try to program something that is dead. So we'll see if we can get any communication. If we get, at least communication with the computer, even if all the parameters are in zero, which I see, I have seen when you have a corrupted calibration that you can connect to the computer, but when you enter to read the parameters, they're all in zero. So and you try to read DTCs, it's not possible to read. So now the software is missing, but you need to at least be able to talk. In this case, we don't have that. So let's cross the fingers. It's still just cooling down. It was a very long process. And again, this is all in me. If it is fixes, perfect, then I can collect the payment for a repair. Otherwise, it's just a test fee. But I'm hope to show to you and to Scott that I'm going the extra mile trying to help and to repair the module. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Let me press the correct button. All right, guys, let's see. Right now it's cool to the touch. Now it's still a little warm, but nothing that I can now hold my hand on it. So let's power it up. We got a 5-volt reference. I don't really need to connect the scanners, but I will. But let's see if we power it down, the ignition, and it goes to sleep or not. That will tell me if we have communication or not. Nope. This is definitely looking the same way. Exactly the same thing. So it didn't do absolutely nothing to do what I did. So it was just a waste of time, but it was a waste of my time. All right, so in this case, let me put the scanner just for the sake of the video. I'm going to turn the ignition on. Realistically, it's making no difference. And let's do again a re-scan. But this is definitely looking like a no-go. Scott, I'm sorry, but it looks like this is not going to be a repairable computer. This is the second one I see with this same problem. In the first case, I thought it was probably a lightning strike or something that could have burned the microprocessor inside. But as you see, it's no communication. So we have definitely a dead computer. Nothing changed. All right, guys, that's it. Nothing else. I don't want to do any more on this computer because I know this is a no-go. And I try my best. Sometimes it is what it is. And in these ones, it seems to be the case when it's a When I see the spywars and stuff like that, I'm not really having high hopes, and that was the scenario. I was very honest, at least, in showing everything in here. But I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.